Catchment Convos with Thriving Southland, your link to Southland catchment groups and their impactful projects. Each episode will dive into grassroots effort by local farmers and communities that are driving change and sustainability in our regions. Listen in for inspiring stories and insight. Real people, real change, the Southland way. Welcome back to Catchment Convos, your go-to podcast for all things Southland catchment groups. I'm your host, Rachel Halder, and today we're spotlighting a newly formed group making waves in Southland, the Edendale Aquifer Group. This group is taking action by putting science directly in the hands of farmers to lead the charge for change. Today, I'm joined by local farmer and the chairperson of the Edendale Aquifer Group, Tim McRae, as well as Birgit Pemberton, local farmer and the newly appointed Edendale Aquifer Group project coordinator. Together, we're going to discuss the forming of the group, their new project focused on understanding nutrient movement and the interactions in the aquifer, from utilising LiDAR data for high-resolution hydrology analysis to constructing pilot wetlands for nutrient reduction. The Edendale Aquifer Group has paved the way for a sustainable farmer-led solution that could model for communities everywhere. Welcome, Tim. Welcome, Birgit. Good to have you guys on the podcast today. And as we've sort of discussed earlier, we're all a bit new to this whole podcasting journey. So we'll have a bit of fun and keep our listeners informed with what we're up to. But Tim, hey, so can you just start us off today? And, we're talking about the Edendale Aquifer Group. So where are we in Southland? What's the catchment like? What sort of farms have we got in Edendale? Can you give us some facts and some figures on that?
Hi, thanks for that introduction, Rachel. So the Edendale Aquifer Group is a sub-catchment of what was originally started out as the Three Rivers Catchment Group, which was, at that stage, it was primarily located around Wyndham and encompassed sort of the Lower Matera, the Mimihau, the McRae, and the Glenham area. It's sort of since been split up a little bit, and the Edendale Aquifer Group was formed at the start of this year. So we're primarily located on the western side of the Matera River of Wyndham there, and sort of around the Edendale Township. We start just south of Matera and finish basically at Seaward Downs. And we do encompass a wee bit of the eastern side of the river, sort of up through the Tootarau area and there. So all up, we're about 24,000 hectares of predominantly flat, sort of fertile soils. We've got a 42-kilometre terrace that basically runs the length of our catchment, north to south. And that sort of goes from what we call the Edendale Plains here. That terrace then leads down onto the Matera River flats, I suppose. So, yeah, we start, if you're driving from Invercargill to Edendale, we sort of start when you come down that passing lane there into Edendale as sort of the westernmost boundary. And then, yeah, as I said, the Matera River, for the majority, is our eastern boundary. So.
Yeah, wow. So relatively intensive catchment, what you say? Mostly sort of dairy?
Yeah, I think we were 75 to 80% dairy. Birgit might correct me on that, but predominantly dairy. We also have Fonterra as one of the larger landowners in our catchment, where they irrigate wastewater from the plant. And then we've also got a couple other unique, smaller industries with 2 tulip growing outfits and also a couple of nurseries as well. So.
Wow, you guys really do have anything and everything in the Edendale Aquifer Group there. So, yes, and Birgit's here with us as well. Do you sort of want to just answer that wonderful question of we haven't got an aquifer group apart from you guys. So the naming of the group, you didn't want to be the Edendale Catchment Group. Yeah, you wanted to be something else?
Yeah, we just like to be a little bit different, of course. No, but all jokes aside, we formed this group because we felt that the aquifer underlying that Edendale area had some really unique challenges. So especially around nitrogen and nitrates, historically there have been spikes all over the place. And we formed the group having in mind some projects to really help understand the movement of nitrogen through the catchment and through the aquifer.
And so the Edendale Aquifer Group, as Tim sort of said earlier, was sort of originally a part of the greater Three Rivers group, but now has sort of gone into a more of a sub-catchment of Three Rivers. Is that sort of correct, Birgit?
Yes, that's correct. We just thought that Three Rivers Catchment Group encompassed quite a few different landscapes and a few different issues and challenges. And it was really hard to sort of find that common ground where we could all work together on a project. So we're sort of a little bit more localized now. And we've just identified that maybe, nitrogen is what our little catchment could really work with and advance on in terms of knowledge and in terms of finding mitigations.
It's really cool. And as Tim said, that big terrace is quite a unique attribute of the catchment and something that's really got you guys interested. So, Tim, since you guys started earlier, this year, what has the Aquifer Group been up to, or what have you guys been, or what have you done?
So it was all sort of set up. And then as we were getting it set up, we were approached to put an application into Thriving Southland to maybe scale up some of this work. And it all sort of happened at once. So we went from not having a catchment group to having this relatively big project on the go. And so what we're doing there is trying to understand how nitrogen moves through our aquifer. And to pick up on Birgit's point there before, I guess we thought aquifer was more fitting because there's a lot of farms in our catchment that don't actually have a watercourse on it. They're flat, they've got no creeks. So to try and include those people where they say, well, we don't feed, our farms don't feed into a creek. Well, no, they don't, but they probably feed more down into the aquifer and then pop out. That water then pops out along this terrace. So what we wanted to do is understand how that nitrogen, what we're putting in on top, how that filters down through the soil and the soil profile. And then also, with the likes of the edge of this terrace with wetlands and plantings and bits and pieces, how we can use that, how we can best use resources there to try and reduce the nitrogen before it then leads into the Matera River. So I think I've answered the question there.
Yeah, 100%. It's a big topic, and it's incredibly topical, I guess you could say, for a lot of people in Southland and, across New Zealand. And so, Birgit, you were the lucky candidate, and so you put your hand up and you said you wanted to manage this project for the group. Can you kind of maybe give us a bit of an overview as to the project's outcomes or, what the objectives are the group's looking to achieve with it?
Well, the main objective is to gain an understanding of how the contaminants move through the aquifer or, through the catchment, and then have community engagement alongside that and have equip people with knowledge and with tools to mitigate nitrates and nitrogen losses.
Cool. And so how, between the two of you, how have you guys found engagement so far with the Aquifer Group and with the project from the wider Edendale community?
We had a community meeting in June, which was sort of our first one. We found it pretty good. We would always like more. I guess as we get going with some of this work and start producing some results, hopefully that will then give us more community buy-in. After listening to a guy, Phil Everest from Canterbury, come down and speak to us, which was quite interesting actually, because we could draw a lot of similarities from Canterbury to our catchment, particularly in terms of aquifer and that. But so what we got out of him was their catchment purchased a nitrogen meter, or nitrate meter for measuring nitrogen in the water. So we've purchased one of them, and we're hoping that's going to help with community engagement because people better bring water samples along and get it tested and find out, if they've got any hotspots on their farm or if some mitigations they've got in place are working currently. Hopefully not a competition as such, but just make them more interested because it's their own water quality results coming through. So once we get up and going, once carving's out of the road, we're really hoping that's going to help drive the community involvement even more.
Yeah, that is really cool. Physical, tangible stuff that, gives you instant results has always been a great hook for engagement. And Birgit, how, we were talking about the project. You've obviously started, you've been successful in getting some funding. Is that correct?
Yes, we've been very successful in getting funding. Obviously, Thriving Southland is a big funder, and we were also really lucky. The Reimagining Matara Fund, they're was some money there for us for some capital work towards wetlands. Fonterra's Hapori Fund had some money for us, and the Environment Southland Catchment Group Fund has come through. And then for the nitrate meter, we actually did a ring around some businesses in the community and managed to fully fund the purchase of that nitrate meter as well.
Wow.
And it's very exciting. We're working on acknowledging all the businesses that with advertising material that have helped us so far to get to where we are.
Wow, you guys have got like loads of different businesses involved. And so for those people sort of listening and watching from afar a little bit, can you give a little bit of an overview of what your sort of maybe next 6 months or next 12 months looks like and what sort of things you guys are doing?
Yep, definitely. So currently we're waiting. We've contracted Land and Water Science to do some information gathering and processing out of Environment Southland on water quality and hotspots. And we're hoping that we will have something tangible to present mid-October. And then it's sort of the first part of the project is pretty much science gathering. And then, the more information we have, obviously, the better. And then come the new year, February, March, we're hoping into cranking into a really big community event where we can pull all the information together and then sort of hopefully get to a stop and go point where we have a little bit of leeway in deciding what next, or do we need anything else, or have we got enough science behind us to make some informed decisions. And also alongside it, obviously, we're working on building some pilot wetlands. It's a process. We're having to go through all the right steps, of course, with design and with consents, but we're tracking really nicely. When I'm catching up with all the stakeholders, everyone is making some really good progress. So I'm confident that we will be hitting the timelines that we have anticipated.
Oh, cool. No, that's like exciting. And so, Tim, you've put your hand up and your farm up to have a pilot constructed at your place. So can you kind of give a little bit of context around that?
Yeah. So we've on the northeast corner of our property under the terrace, we've got a small duck pond there at the moment. It's literally just fills out of the terrace. There's an actual creek runs into it. Water just fills it up. So we've seen that as a perfect opportunity to, obviously run this pilot. And we've had some really good input from Fish and Game, John Scandrett and Dairy NZ, just on how we can make that more effective for, I want to use the term low cost, but just modifying an existing wetland to make it more effective at soaking up some of this nitrogen. So it's just around water depth. Do we have some wood, chip or carbon there to help soak up some of this nitrogen, and then just plantings around it? So we're just working through that at the moment, just on sort of what that looks like. Yeah, so I guess that's one of the wetlands we're doing. And then Fonterra are also looking at doing a wetland on one of their properties within our catchment. And the nature of that one, that's probably going to be a not quite so simple one. I think it's going to require a consent, and they're probably going to have, like there's a woodchip bioreactor in there and other bits and pieces. So I guess we've got two contrasting wetlands, and then we'll start measuring the effectiveness of them. Fonterra have very kindly redeployed a couple of water testing kits from the North Island down to us. So in the Fonterra wetland, we're hoping to be able to measure water in, water out, and that should be on a daily basis, I think. So we're going to see how effective that wetland is. And I guess once we know how effective these wetlands are, then hopefully further through the project, we'll then start being able to realise that and oversee or whatever that program is for that measures our end loss. So.
Wow. This is it sounds like an incredibly big project for a brand new group. How's morale? How's everyone feeling about this? Are you guys excitedly nervous or nervously excited?
Well, the saying, if you want to eat an elephant, you have to do it one bite at a time. That's definitely what we're aiming for here, because it is a huge project and it has got lots of fingers to it, lots of different areas. but it's a fantastic opportunity for the catchment and, for all the people involved, and a lot of learnings to be made out of it. So we are super motivated and excited, and obviously we are busy covering at the moment, but rest assured things are ticking along nicely.
I think we're pretty lucky. We've got a committee also behind myself and Birgit that are helping out as well, which makes it less intimidating, I suppose, because when you sit down and look at it on paper, there's a lot that we are doing. But as Birgit said, if we can just break it down into bite-sized chunks, it sort of becomes more manageable. And yes, it was pretty overwhelming at the start when we had all of this up, but now that we're starting to get into the project and just doing it step by step, it's actually quite exciting to, know that hopefully we're doing our wee bit to help improve the water quality. So.
Yeah, awesome. And like you said, you guys do have a lot of different people in there. And I imagine you guys are fielding a lot of requests and a lot of phone calls like us here and getting on this podcast.
And also not to forget Thriving Southland's input through our catchment coordinator as well. Is very good at keeping us on our toes to make sure we're cracking along and doing what we're supposed to be. So.
Oh, I know. It's all our pleasure. But so yeah, cool that you guys, well, I guess, and lucky you guys have got a big stakeholder with Fonterra there, and so they're looking to work beside you and put in some pretty big infrastructure. Is that sort of what I heard there, Tim, around that big wetland that they're doing with the bioreactor as well? Yeah.
So obviously, I don't know how many hectares I've got within our catchment, but they are a significant landholder. We're really lucky. They've given us some money through that Haupori fund for the actual physical construction of wetlands. They're obviously looking at building a wetland on their place, which we'll use some of that money for. Also, Fonterra installed some live water quality monitoring kit down on the bottom end of our farm, which is at the bottom of the catchment, which is live 24-hour monitoring of water. So that's also information that our catchment group's able to draw on as well. So it's been really nice to have their support for the project, I suppose. So.
And so I also heard that you guys are recording this all together, and you guys have got some support in how you're documenting everything. Is that true as well? You guys seem to have everything.
Yes, we had Resolution Farming app come on board, and they have kindly donated for us, a subscription on a catchment level for us to record whatever we want to record for this project within Resolution Farming app. And obviously quite a few farmers within the catchment are already using Resolution. So, it's not something new for some of us, but it will be new for others, which is really exciting also. But we're really thankful for that opportunity.
And so what are you guys hoping to record on that? Or what are you hoping to have in that channel? Is there, are you looking to have things mapped out? Are you looking to just have it all documented with your timelines?
So at the moment, we have the outline of the catchment, and we've got a survey out pretty much requesting permission from people to put their farm boundaries in. Either, if they're not using Resolution, to just put it in as it is. And then if they are using Resolution, it's quite an easy step to get it added. And then we, at the moment, as a committee, we're using it to put in admin matters. We put in photos. If we do a field visit, the other day we were at Tim's and with John Scandreth and Kane Duncan, and we took some water samples and then tested them with our nitrate meter, and we did some, like pond levels, and it was really good. You could just pretty much drop the pin and then just put the photos online, and you have a timestamp and a record of this is what's been happening, and it's a good place to store it, and it's a tidy sort of place to store it, or a tidy way of storing it.
Yeah, that's awesome, because as you guys have described, even in just this short conversation, you've got a lot of different things happening, a lot of different moving parts, and I imagine keeping track of it all is going to be in the hard basket, which is why the group's lucky they've got you, Birgit, to hopefully keep that project on track. So, hey, I am keen to know, how can people follow what you guys are up to? How could people find out a little bit more information if they wanted to, or even get involved? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's something, because we've been moving that fast, it's probably something we've now got to sit down and review, because initially we decided not to do anything. But now that we are actually starting to do stuff through this water quality testing this month, starting to do some physical stuff to these wetlands, that maybe that might be one way to help get some good community engagement, I suppose. So.
It's always a tricky one, isn't it? Because you want everybody to know what you're up to, but it's another job to add to the list. And so, like, hey, and you guys have had such rapid growth that, hey, you're allowed to have a little area maybe where you're still working on it.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a hiss and a roar, Rachel, and it's just grown so rapidly that we haven't gotten around to consider whether we need our own Facebook page. But in the meantime, Thriving Southland has been really awesome at promoting what we have had going on. And we have captured some attendees' email addresses on that launch evening. And, we've sent out like a newsletter update and the survey via emails. And, it's been a bit of door knocking and phone calls of the neighbors to get the word out. But we are looking, obviously, as we grow, we are looking to improve our communication to the outside world.
Cool. No, we're secretly, watching and waiting in anticipation with what you guys do. And you've got loads of different people and expertise supporting you. So those channels are always available to help you. But any sort of final comments that you guys wanted to make? Anything else that you sort of think we maybe haven't covered? I know you guys are just at the starting edge of your journey with this project and your aquifer group. But hey, it's awesome to have you guys on. So Tim, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I suppose in terms of people within our catchment are wanting to get involved, it's just reaching out and touching base. Obviously, there's multiple parts to this project, but one of the parts, I suppose, is looking at the on-farm stuff. And this we've been lucky with Dairy NZ. They've come on board through both the plantain trial and the low-N model. So they're actually helping us do some really neat work and being able to stack some of these mitigations. So if you do a whole heap of different things, whether wetlands, low nitrogen, stocking rate, plantain, there's a number of them. If you add them all up, does it help us get to, I don't know, if the magical figure is a 30% reduction in then leaching, that can help out there. And I guess what we're trying to do is just front foot some of the stuff. We don't know what the numbers are that we've got to get to yet. But, through our catchment, if we can help put some science and numbers in behind some of these things, then hopefully we get an outcome that we are all happy with further down the track, I think would be a way of putting it. So while not everyone can contribute within our catchment through a wetland, there are other ways that you can add value for our catchment. So, yeah, just reach out. And obviously we've got this water quality monitoring stuff popping up, which we're having to do once a week, Birgit, once a month.
Yeah.
For a start, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you might bring some water samples along to that and just have a chat to some of the committee and see what we're up to, and if you're interested, how we can sort of fit in or help out or things like that. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Obviously, we're only on our foundation project, and, it leans itself to a lot of extension. Like Tim said, you might not be able to or not really interested in the nitrogen part, but there is lots of opportunity later on.
I guess this is just the initial project that our catchment group's working on, because we've seen it being the low-hanging fruit, I suppose, that we can work on. But that's not to say that once this project's finished, which will be a few years, but not to say once this project's finished that'll be the end of the catchment group. We'll have other things to work on. And as Birgit said, maybe it might be riparian plantings, or I don't know, things are changing that fast that in 3 or 4 years' time we might have something else that's really topical and pressing that our people within our catchment would be keen to see us help them out and provide some expertise and science behind it.
Awesome. And surely you guys will have a bit of a Christmas barbecue or something like that as well in the pipeline, do you?
Oh, we're going to have to, I think.
Oh, it does. And no, incredible hats off to you guys, especially, you're all busy, you've all got things to do, and Catchment groups are such a fabulous way that we've got a lot of questions out there, and there's a lot of uncertainty with loads of things to look into. So it's awesome that you guys are doing this together and trying to build a little bit of an information data set for yourselves and, be a part of it together. So this project has a lot of support, a lot of stakeholders who are here on this project and on this journey with you. Tim, did you, have some people that maybe you could mention for us that are helping?
Yes, obviously the main one at the moment, or the main one's Thriving Southland, has given us the bulk of their funding, but also we've had some really good support from Fonterra, Dairy NZ, Flowpath, Environment Southland, Land and Water Science, John Scandrick, who's a wetland designer, and Miranda Hunter is also doing some economic work on it as well. So their support has been really good, and they've actually brought a lot to the table, and we have engaged with them and, given us some questions to make us think about what we're doing and challenge us on some stuff, which has been really, really good. So
yeah, wow, you guys have got some clever brains in a part of this project. You got them all, sounds like it. No, fabulous. And that's what we want to see. We want to see this collaboration stuff, don't we? And we want to know that everybody is kind of working towards the same thing and, we're not all operating in silos, coming up with different ideas for the same problem as such. So cool that you've been able to manage to bring everybody together around the same table.
Yeah.
So cool. So you guys have, as you mentioned earlier, you have got some testing that you've got available. What can you sort of mention that?
So we have purchased a nitrate meter from Hydrometrics in Canterbury, an outfit who specialise in, they build them basically. So yeah, we've been pretty lucky. Hydrometrics obviously come to the party there, and we've also had input from, or funding towards it from Fish and Game, Fonterra, Herbert's Transport, Land and Water Science, Livestock Supplies, and Open Country, and Rabobank, one of their funds. Yeah, so the support of all of those businesses has been really good, because it's, as I said before, it gives us some tangible stuff that will help with community engagement.
Yeah, and actually getting stuff done, which is what you really guys want to, set out and get done. So
yep.
No, you guys are a dangerous group, it sounds like it, with plenty of milestones, plenty of ambition, which is, gets us kind of on the sidelines really excited, and we're here to support you 100% of the way. So with that, I will let you get back to your day jobs, and appreciate your time and, looking to share what you guys are up to with those who are out there in the catchment community. But thank you, Tim. Thank you, Birgit. And, we're excited to watch what you guys do. So for anybody who does want to keep in touch with these guys, as they mentioned, the Thriving Southland Facebook page, the Three Rivers Facebook page, and we will keep you updated on the website as well if these guys come up with another platform that they would like to share with. So thanks, guys, and no doubt we'll hear from you again in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rachel.
And that's a wrap for another episode of Catchment Convos, brought to you by Thriving Southland. A big thanks to our guests for being a part of the conversation on today's episode, and for you guys for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you get your podcast from, so you can stay up to date with all the latest episodes as they're released. For more information on this episode, check out the show notes or head to the Thriving Southland website, where you can also learn more about the awesome work happening across the catchment groups here in Southland. And if you've got a project or an idea you want to share, don't be shy, reach out. So until next time, keep up the good work out there on the land, and as always, stay connected and keep driving those changes for a thriving Southland.